Have you ever felt like no matter how hard you work, it is never enough, and lots of other things have been blamed for our misery? But could capitalism be a root cause of the mental health crisis we all feel? This is Common Power UK. To answer those questions, I first want to discuss why are we all stressed? The global situation feels incredibly tense, with issues like climate change and ongoing wars make living in the modern world very tough and very struggling. It's a terrifying time to be alive after the relative peace of the last 50 years in Western countries at least. But now, things are getting very tense, and that's not good for any of our mental health, especially when we feel powerless to do anything about it. Also, wages have stagnated. Everyone seems to grasp of wages versus health crisis, and it's no surprise that this is a huge detriment to our mental health. As our work yields less and less returns, we feel this every single year as prices get more and our wages get less. Rent goes up as well. It is a situation that many people cannot go on living like this. Those in power offer nothing better. That is also contributing to the crisis whereby there is no credible solution offered. If there was a strategy in place, then we could all work towards something together. Better facilities could be built. Mental health could be prioritised. Research into it could also be prioritised. And we could tackle the issue as a country as a whole. But you and I both know that is not going to happen in the current system as it exists today. So why is burnout so normalised? Public resources are squeezed more than ever. I have an example from my line of work in research, where I was a research technician at the university. Halfway during my 1 year contract as a master's graduate, it was announced that the university would be hiring no new staff. I was offered a 6 month extension to my contract, but that would have been temporary and the work was very stressful and intense. So I decided not to do it and go for a career change. There have been so many cuts to university, there have been so many cuts to public services, and university funding is one of them. The writing is on the wall that funding is never going to increase, it is only ever going to decrease, which pushes more strain on workers. The mental health of this is not great. In the lab that I used to work for, it was clear that more and more inexperienced people will be given more responsibility and paid less. This creates a situation where things go wrong, and this causes a decrease in the standard and quality of research, which is very counterproductive overall. This shows how bad mental health and stress are linked to systemic issues within work and should be avoided. Next, profit margins are never sacrificed. We all hear when times are tough, when the banks go bust, etc., that they need a bailout from us. When it's in the reverse, we never get a bailout from them. They never sacrifice their profits. We always come second. And that is a huge consequence for our mental health, as people are laid off, redundancies, even pensions that people have saved up for years and years. Those funds collapse, and those people are left with nothing. It is a shocking system where you play a lottery with your life savings and hope that it increases more than inflation. Otherwise, it is worthless. Again, a shocking gaming of the system whereby only the richest benefit because they can afford to speculate the most without losing their life savings. This contributes to burnout in an obvious way, where people work more and more to chase the goal of stability. Unfortunately, chasing that goal is never ending and will always get worse under the current system, which is one of the reasons why it is obvious that we need change. Next, the job market has made workers expendable. Again, the overinflation of the job market, the overabundance of graduate workers has led to a shocking situation in terms of work, where there are thousands of graduates coming out of university every year, and a fraction of that in jobs are available. If the boss can sack anyone at any time and hire a graduate for minimum wage, then they're going to do that, especially under the pressures I've already talked about. So this creates a situation where even if the boss wants to do good, they are forced to take the graduate who is inexperienced and ultimately has no job security due to their inexperience and lack of negotiating power, as they've just fought tooth and nail to get that job, stepping out of line is a huge risk to their careers, which people cannot afford to do. Again, it's very, very bad for burnout. Finally, the normalisation of fast food and other unhealthy habits has made it even worse. Our physical health declining makes our mental health worse. The perpetuation of the unhealthiest habits in society has reinforced that. All these factors going together, they all connect like a big mishmash of and the crazy thing is, all of these things are often hidden under the surface in order to blame other things and other minorities, to distract us from the real cause of our suffering. In my last job, as I just mentioned, It was so stressful that I was robbed of my peace. Can you relate to that feeling of being unable to switch off? I had to sacrifice other parts of my life, and my job was only 25 hours a week. Now it's given that I am physically disabled, but I had hoped that the job would still be manageable enough to pursue a long-term career. Instead, I found an academic institution that squeezed everything out of us. Just to make ends meet. It became clear that the purpose of academic research had been lost to the pressure of publishing any paper over prioritizing ambitious research. It's no wonder people are skeptical about science. Have you had any similar experiences? Let me know in the comments. Next, how did we get to this point? It's no coincidence that capitalism is 249 years old, and the patterns of other civilizations are being repeated. The French and Russian revolutions are perfect examples of this, and the lessons of the past have not been learned. The conditions that caused those revolutions, such as high inflation, low jobs, and extravagance of the ruling class, led to low situations, and we can see them same patterns now. Fast forward to today, and those same patterns are repeated. Especially since the recent US election, things have started to escalate. I love my history, so this is exciting for me and fascinating, but if you're not so keen, it is very important to learn anyway. How important class struggle is to history, and how we, the people, influence it. It didn't get to this point for no reason. They benefit from our suffering. They benefit from our mental health being this bad. So we have to remove that incentive. So ask yourself, does your mental health mirror the past? And why? So next, we need to know what the problems are in order to fix them. There are three key problems that we desperately need to deal with immediately. First is the profit margin. This fundamental component of capitalist economics has taken your productivity and given nothing back. Initially, it may have been beneficial, but recently it has siphoned your wages every single year and the prices on the shelf only go up. This is affecting everyone, and the system is to blame. Next is the propaganda machine. This is vital for maintaining the status quo. It expertly blames and distracts to divide us. A really good example I've seen recently is the council tax strike. I saw this on Twitter and initially saw the council tax strike as a positive thing of organising collective strength. However, when I looked on the video, it was from the perspective of Reform Party UK, whereby the strike was to protest the cancellation of elections. While I completely admire the efforts to strike against council tax, the organisation of this is poor. If it is organised only amongst people who vote for reform, then that is only a small section of society. No matter how big they claim to be, that still leaves at least half of the population who do not align with reform. This is very, very bad in terms of organising because it will mean that the only people who lose out will be the people who are doing the strike, and those in charge will hold on as the strike will lose momentum. In an ideal world, the Socialists and the Reform Party members would unite and we would do a strike together, a general strike. That way we have much more influence and much more power to stop the rises. But again, they divide us into these incredibly niche bubbles where you hear nothing from the other side. So this is a very important example to think about for the future. How we organise against this, how we unite ourselves as people, as working people. Many working people I know would vote for reform. I believe they are misguided, but they suffer the same things that we do as socialists. I dream of a day when we can unite amongst a common goal and share the negativity of racism and the hatred that fuels their members. But I know that is a long way off, and we're very, very hard to win these people over. Finally, the decimation of union power. The unions used to hold a strong power base, as I've mentioned previously. This is of the utmost importance that we fix it. This is the only way to prevent future power grabs, is to have strong unions with strong democratic power. These three things have destroyed the foundations for a mentally healthy population. Positive vision for the future would help a lot. So let's get into it. How do we fix it? The fact that it hasn't been fixed already goes to show that it will not be easy. And those in charge actively resist. But the only way is to organise organically. And this is the purpose of my channel. I feel a need to stand up for those less fortunate than myself. I might have a dodgy voice, but most people don't even have a voice. So we need to change that. We change that by first educating ourselves. In the history of past revolutions, what are the lessons to be learned? Then we need to use the framework set out by Marx to organise independent of authority. And if we can gather enough momentum, the system we have now is so weak, it will not take long. My mental health has suffered enough, and to be honest, it's a real boost for mental health as I'm finally trying to do something about it. If that sounds like you, please look up your local socialist or communist branch. I'm sure there are many, and I'm sure you will have more in common than you think. Also, hit the like and share buttons to help me out, and comment with any of your stories. How has your mental health been affected by capitalism? Do you want to do anything about it? And will you join the pursuit of common power for all? See you next time. Bye bye.